The handshake has already survived a lot of pandemics.
You can find Greek urns and Egyptian hieroglyphs where individuals are shaking hands with one another.
Etiquette expert Thomas Farley is Mr. Manners, and he says shaking hands used to have a different meaning.
Signaling that you were not carrying a weapon.
But now it conveys
agreement, friendship, welcome, sportsmanship.
Thomas thinks the handshake will survive and remain important.
We judge people within the first 7 seconds of meeting, and one of the key elements of how we're judging whether we like the person, whether we trust the person, whether they seem confident, is based on that handshake.
But we're not all doing it right.
I've got some pet peeves about handshakes that just strike all the wrong notes.
We're running down handshake mistakes you should avoid, starting with the Darth Vader handshake, which is a bit of a misnomer since in the canon films we never actually see Darth Vader shaking hands. We do, however, see him do a lot of this. So yeah, if Darth Vader ever does try to shake your hand, remember what Admiral Ackbar would say.
It's a trap!
The Darth Vader handshake is so strong and forceful that you're really wondering whether the person is trying to crush your hand.
It's usually a cheap attempt to assert dominance that in reality just hurts.
It's particularly painful if you are wearing a ring.
So stop with the macho whack, because it's just kind of mean. Next, avoid the limp fish handshake. You know who probably has a limp fish handshake?
It's a trap!
Yes, Admiral Ackbar, because he's, you know, like a big fish creature. Moving on.
This is the barely there handshake, and you are sending a signal that you have no interest in meeting that person and or you have no confidence in who you are.
So firm that handshake up to show that you're present in the moment. The next handshake mistake, the partial hand handshake.
Where all you get from the individual is 2 fingers and not their entire hand.
It can happen from either side.
There's the converse of that, the person who grabs only the 2 fingers.
Which is just weird.
It's obviously a very non-standard handshake, not one I could recommend.
Now here's one you see on TV a lot, the handshake hug.
Where you're shaking hands with someone and their left hand clasps the entire cluster of the 2 hands that are shaking.
This is a politician's handshake for sure.
But for everyday interactions, the handshake hug is a little bit odd.
The final handshake to avoid, the clam shake, which is not a delicious seafood beverage, but
the clammy handshake. And this often happens in the summer when people are sweating a little bit more than they might typically, or if they've been holding a drink that has condensation on it. Always carry the drink in your left hand. That keeps your right hand dry and you're not getting any condensation on it, because that is not a nice feeling to get a handshake from someone and you're suddenly feeling like your own hand is now all wet.
If you have sweaty palms, have a handkerchief or napkin ready in your pocket. Hey, if the handshake is going to persist, you may as well do it right. Just be sure to wash your hands.
This way, we can satisfy both the epidemiologists and the etiquette experts.
Handshakes to avoid are at the top of the list.